Sometimes you meet a person who seems incredibly charismatic, confident, even charming. They always listen to you, laugh, make you feel noticed. But as time passes, you start sensing that something is off. It's as if their smile isn't genuine. You feel drained around them, yet you can't quite put your finger on why. This is most likely the mask of a psychopath. Psychopaths often appear one way at first: friendly, kind, attentive. But over time, you notice a shift. Their smile disappears, their responses become irritable, and sometimes, for no reason at all, they make you feel guilty. That's why many people struggle to understand them at first. They don't know how to act or respond. Stoic philosophers warned us about such people thousands of years ago. They said that to protect your mind and soul, the first step is to understand who you are interacting with. That's why in this video, I'll show you 5 key signs of a psychopath and how Stoic philosophy teaches us to deal with such individuals. I think this topic will be interesting to all of us. So don't rush, subscribe to the channel, like the video, and share it so that many others who need this knowledge can benefit as well. Ready? Let's begin. What is the most powerful weapon a psychopath has against others? Do you know? The answer is manipulation. This is the first sign to recognize them by. Remember, psychopaths don't need to forcefully control you. They are experts at making you willingly follow their lead. At first, they act like someone who understands you, as if they've been your friend for years. Their words are carefully chosen to capture your heart. Talking to them feels pleasant because they appear to understand you. But this is not by chance. Even in the first meetings, they listen to you attentively, not to understand you, but to use you. Over time, they study your weaknesses, what upsets you, who you trust, what you fear, and one day, they will turn all of this against you. Psychopaths are extremely skilled at making you feel guilty. They act like they are doing you a favor, but each favor puts you a little more in their control. For example, they help you and then remind you of it, making you feel indebted. This is part of their game. Epictetus said, "Do not let anyone control your soul. The freedom of your mind is your greatest possession." These words are not accidental. A psychopath's goal is not just to influence your mind, it's to seize your soul. They want to exhaust you emotionally to the point that you begin doubting even your own decisions. Sometimes what they say convinces you, and you catch yourself thinking, maybe they're right. Maybe I went too far. And in that moment, they have taken control of you. The most dangerous part of manipulation is that you don't realize you're in it. They don't directly control you. They influence you indirectly, slowly turning you into the person they want you to be, as if invisible strings are pulling your every action. But Stoic philosophy offers a different perspective. Stoics said, "Focus on what you can control, your reactions, not events." In other words, you control your response, not other people's behavior. If someone tries to manipulate you, the first step is to stay calm. Observe silently. Don't respond immediately to their words, because the manipulator's power lies in your reaction. If you don't react, they lose their power. Think of it this way: they want to ignite you, but you refuse to burn. They want to make you feel guilty, but you don't enter the guilt game. You simply observe, understand, and remain calm. This is true freedom. For a Stoic, freedom means not becoming a slave to your emotions. If you can control yourself, a psychopath cannot control you, no matter how charming, intelligent, or attentive they seem. Never give anyone control over your emotional balance. Remember, your strongest weapon against a manipulative person is your own calmness, because a person who stays calm already changes the rules of the game. The second key sign of a psychopath is their lack of empathy, and this is extremely dangerous. They do not understand your joy, your pain, your fears, or even your tears. When something difficult happens in your life, they may listen, but nothing changes inside them. For them, your suffering is not an emotion, it's just information. And they remember that information to use against you in the future. Keep in mind that empathy is what makes a person truly human. Empathy means that when you see someone in pain, you feel it, even for a moment. When you see someone happy, you smile along with them. But for a psychopath, none of this exists. They do not feel you, they merely observe. Seneca once said, "Only a compassionate person is truly strong, because they feel the pain of others as their own." This phrase carries deep meaning. Compassion and understanding are signs of strength, not weakness. Someone without empathy, on the other hand, is actually weak. They just hide that weakness behind coldness. They act as if detachment and indifference are forms of power. But in reality, it's a defensive mechanism. They have never experienced real emotional depth. Being in a relationship with someone without empathy is like talking to a wall. You speak and they just watch. You cry and they silently observe. You hope your words will reach their soul, but there is no soul there. For these people, you are merely a tool for attention, for curiosity, or for control. For them, relationships, sharing, and even love are just a playing field. Stoic philosophy teaches us that it's impossible to form a deep connection with someone who cannot share their feelings. Relationships are a mutual exchange of energy. If one side gives while the other never gives back, the connection will eventually collapse. You give and they take. You explain and they analyze. You show understanding and they see it as weakness. That's why arguing with someone who has no empathy or trying to change them is pointless. They will never change because change requires first the ability to feel. Stoic said, "Not everyone will understand your feelings. This should not upset you but make you cautious. At the same time, do not lose your own compassion because of someone else's lack of feeling. But remember, showing understanding is not the same as sacrificing yourself. If someone does not listen to you, does not understand you, and does not show empathy, then remain silent. Sometimes the most powerful response is silence. Silence can serve both as protection and as a warning. Quietly stepping away can communicate far more than hundreds of words. Remember, not everyone can feel you, but that does not diminish your value. A person who does not feel you simply cannot reach your depth. A psychopath may lack empathy, but you should not. Empathy will not burn you, it keeps you human. So instead of trying to stay close to someone who cannot understand or empathize, walk away quietly. There is freedom in that silence. You are no longer talking to a wall, you are talking to your own soul. Now let's move on to the third crucial sign. If you have ever interacted with a psychopath even a little, you've probably seen this. Psychopaths frequently use the victim role. They present themselves as if life has been unfair to them. Everyone has treated them badly, and no one understands them. At first, you listen and even feel sorry for them. Their past, the hardships they've endured, their perceived injustices, all this evokes your sympathy. You want to defend them because you hear that inner voice of compassion. But that compassion is exactly what they use to control you. The goal of a psychopath is not to reveal the truth. They want to convince you. They want you to believe that I am innocent. Others have treated me cruelly. Only you can understand me. Once you fall into this trap, they have won. From that moment, you play the role of their savior, even though eventually you will need to save yourself. It's important to note that psychopaths have no sense of responsibility. They never admit, yes, I was wrong. For them, it's always someone else's fault. Friends, family, a former partner, co-workers, and eventually you. Often you may even start feeling guilty for yourself, which is exactly what they want. By instilling guilt, they put you under emotional control. You start thinking, I need to do more for them, be more understanding. But no matter what you do, these people will never be satisfied. Stoic philosophy teaches, truth is never hidden in drama. If someone constantly says they didn't understand me, people treated me badly, or everyone abandoned me, this is no coincidence. It's a repeated behavioral pattern. Real victims are usually quiet. They heal silently. A false victim, however, is always on stage, seeking an audience. Stoics advised, calmness and honesty are your strongest weapons. Do not get swept into their emotional storm. When they blame you, do not defend yourself. Simply observe and tell yourself, this is their story, not mine. Every time they present themselves as a victim, stay calm. For a psychopath, attention is like oxygen. When you respond and justify them, you give them life. When you remain silent, they struggle. One way to identify a true victim is to watch their actions, not their words. A genuinely hurting person would not want to harm others. But a psychopath will both tell their story of pain and make you experience that same pain. Stoics teach us not to lose ourselves in someone else's dramatic narrative. If someone constantly complains, my life is so difficult, but never takes steps to change, that is not your problem. When dealing with such people, you have two choices. Either get swept into their drama and become emotionally exhausted, or remain calm and keep your distance. Remember, staying calm is not indifference. Staying calm is protecting your soul. Whenever you interact with someone like this, ask yourself, does this person really want to heal, or are they just seeking attention? If the answer is the latter, walk away quietly. The fourth sign of a psychopath is their ability to control your emotions. They put you in such a state of constant shifts between love and hate that at some point you stop trusting even your own feelings. One day they lift you to the skies, making you feel special, valued, and chosen. The next day they act cold, ignoring you completely. You don't understand what's happening. You wonder, did I do something wrong? Why did this happen? At that moment, the psychopath gains emotional control over you. They use their love as a reward and their coldness as punishment. This is not just behavior, it's a deliberate control strategy. They put your mind on an emotional roller coaster. One day love, another day silence. One day criticism, the next a smile. And in the midst of this unpredictability, you start seeking your own sense of worth. You no longer feel valuable unless they affirm you. This is exactly what they want. They want you to become dependent on their emotions, to live according to them. This is the finest form of psychological control. Marcus Aurelius said, if the actions of others disturb you, you are already their prisoner. It's a simple but profound warning. Psychopaths touch your feelings to trap you in their game. They try to shape who you are by controlling your joy, your sorrow, your hope, and your fear. These people know one thing very well. If they control your emotions, they control your life. Stoic philosophy, however, teaches the exact opposite. A Stoic understands that unless we manage our own emotions, our life belongs to others, not ourselves. The Stoic approach is simple but effective. Do not react. Not reacting can mean staying calm, keeping your distance, or simply smiling and remaining silent. Psychopaths want to anger you, provoke you, and explode your emotions. The more you react, the more they feed off it. But if you remain calm, they lose power. The thing psychopaths fear most is losing control. Your calmness is their deepest fear, because a calm person is not under their influence. A calm person changes the rules of the game. Calmness is not passivity, it is a display of strength. When you stay calm, you are no longer part of their emotional system. You no longer allow them to manipulate your feelings. Pause for a moment and reflect. How many times has someone's behavior ruined your day, week, or even month? How many times has someone manipulated your emotions to make you question yourself? Remember the words of Marcus Aurelius. Your mind remains under your control. No one can take it from you. Do not forget, someone who loves you one day acts cold the next, and then comes back close. They are not loving you, they are controlling you. And by staying calm, you exit the game. Your calmness is the strongest weapon. Silence becomes a form of saying, I am already free. Finally, the fifth and perhaps most frightening trait of psychopaths is their lack of remorse and guilt. When they harm someone, they see it simply as a weakness or an emotional reaction. In their world, words like forgive me or I'm sorry are only tools for manipulation. A person without a conscience cannot feel another's pain. They observe it but never truly experience it. For a psychopath, every person is a means to an end. They study your emotions like a psychological map and later use that knowledge against you. For example, they find your weakest point and turn it into an emotional weapon. They become emotional predators. Seneca said, when the conscience of an evil person is silent, their soul dies. A psychopath's soul is lost in that silence. For them, lying, deceiving, or destroying another's life is simple, and they feel no moral anguish. In fact, they may even enjoy it, because they feel the control is in their hands. Stoics say, what makes a person human is their conscience. Arguing with someone without a conscience is like talking to a wall. You can shout all you want, but the wall remains silent. Staying in a relationship with such a person means silently losing your energy, your inner strength. The smartest step is to maintain distance. Respond with silence, not reaction. Because what frightens a psychopath the most is your calmness. They want to shake you, anger you, and drag you down to their level. But if you don't react, they lose their power. Marcus Aurelius wrote, the most effective response to those who try to provoke you is silence and calmness. Silence is the harshest response because it withholds the attention a psychopath craves. Indeed, people without guilt often present themselves as victims, as if all the world's misfortunes are aimed at them. They never take responsibility and constantly blame others. You put me in this situation. It's because of you that this happened, and so on. The truth is simple. A person without a conscience is a person without responsibility. Stoic philosophy teaches us that moral strength lies in maintaining control over yourself. If someone is trying to bring you down, do not play their game. Their goal is to control you emotionally. If you can stay calm, you are already the victor. Never forget, psychopaths will always try to change you, to pull you away from your values. But your greatest power lies in your conscience. A person with conscience, even when they make a mistake, tries to correct it. A person without conscience defends their wrongdoing. Once you understand this, you will know who is worth keeping in your life. Stay with those who understand and respect you. To everyone else, respond with silence. As I've said, silence is the strongest weapon of a Stoic. If you like this video, subscribe to the channel, share it, and leave your thoughts in the comments. Perhaps your share could save someone's life. Let your role in this be meaningful. See you in the next video.